Okay, as I said in my last video, I was going to go and check out some of the mainstream, but real mainstream ABC TV here and see if I can spot anything new, anything different, or anything interesting to bring it to your attention in my next video, which is this video. And it's all starting with doom and gloom.
The International Monetary Fund's the latest to issue a grim assessment. It believes the Great Lockdown is sparking the worst economic devastation since the Great Depression. The IMF says Australia's economy will be among the hardest hit in the world, shrinking by nearly 7% this year. That's bringing a spectacular end to our 29 years of growth. It says we'll see a sharp rebound with growth over 6% next year, but only if the pandemic peaks by July and social distancing restrictions are eased. That's a big if. And even if we see that strong bounce back in growth, 9% of the workforce will still be without a job, and it's young Australians likely to shoulder the worst of the crisis over the next decade.
Okay, well, that's according to IMF. That's one point. It's very convenient to have it drop this year, obviously, for the obvious severe reason, and then just conveniently come back the next year. So I don't know where they're getting these figures from. And have you ever thought about why they call it social distancing, why they never called it body buffer? That's a catchy phrase, body buffer or body distancing. Social distancing normally means that you have completely distanced yourself from everyone, including not just physical, but you're not making any phone calls, you're not even going onto social media. Although this current lockdown doesn't promote that, why are we calling it social distancing? Because again, social distancing encompasses a lot more than just trying to stay away from somebody's body. So very interesting how they crafted it all and marketed it to us.
Youth unemployment peaked at 20% in the recession of 1992, and economists warn history is likely to repeat itself.
I swear, very next story has this heading. I haven't even seen it. I'm just playing it as is. I think they're going to be talking about the consumer confidence. Having said that, with the consumer confidence, the where the market's going, this was actually from last week. So last week the market was pumping, which is just as well. It goes to show that the fundamentals and the way the markets and the charts are going don't necessarily correlate, which means that we humans and market watchers will always find some sort of fundamental reason to explain the recent market sell-off or rally or whatever it was. Let's see what they're talking about here.
Stephanie Chalmers there. Well, the bad economic news is coming thick and fast. Yesterday, we covered the worst business confidence numbers on record. Today, the key Westpac Consumer Confidence Survey plummeted, suffering its biggest monthly decline in its 47-year history. Westpac describes the survey findings as very disturbing. Its author is Chief Economist Bill Evans. Bill Evans, what's so disturbing about this report?
Well, Elise, bear in mind that we've been running this survey for 47 years, and this is the biggest monthly fall at 17.7% that we've ever recorded.
Actually, that's pretty serious. I mean, scaremongering or not, that's pretty serious, but we do know that things can turn around. Somebody actually just mentioned in the previous video that every recovery or most recoveries are not V-shaped, so why expect this one to be V-shaped? Especially that we actually still locked in, locked up. I mean, and they're telling us it'll be a couple more weeks, maybe a month, but who says that if these CV numbers don't start creeping up, or they make them creep up, look like they're creeping up in the next a flu season up in the northern hemisphere being fall or autumn, who says that they're not going to just say, look, we've made a mistake, we need to lock you up, people, again, and we just oblige. I think all we need to hear about this is...
Bill Evans, what's so disturbing about this report?
Well, Elise, bear in mind that we've been running this survey for 47 years, and this is the biggest monthly fall at 17.7% that we've ever recorded.
Lucky I actually skipped and skimmed through this and I found this.
But I was quite shocked by the 26.6% fall in that question, is now a good time to buy a dwelling, because once again that's the biggest monthly fall we've seen for 47 years. I was also shocked by the 50% fall in the outlook for prices.
So this is to do with property, right? There's huge falls in people's confidence in the prices staying where they are, and also the biggest fall in the question, is this a good time to buy a dwelling? And the answer was overwhelming no. Remember, it's all about confidence. Your interest rate, your mortgage rate at the bank could be as little as 2%. You still don't want to buy if you think in your mind that the price of what you're buying is not even going to match that 2% increase, yet it could pull back 20 or more percent, or as yours truly predicts, 40 plus percent.
I was also shocked by the 50% fall in the outlook for prices. And we've never seen anything like that. Now, admittedly, we've only been...
For those believing in the conspiracy of China setting all this up for the world economy, which yours truly doesn't.
The IMF expects China's economy to experience the least disruption from COVID-19. It predicts China to grow at 1.2% this year and a huge growth of 9.2% next year.
So yes, China set all this up for the rest of the world while they are least affected by it, and they're going to boom again next year, apparently. Hey, talking about being in the limbo, and when you are there, you are less likely to part with your hard-earned cash if you still have it, to buy anything, especially at the biggest expense of most people's lives, being housing. So, I mean, what better position to be than again in a limbo, where even the government can't make up their mind, and you don't know what needs to be done. As Martin Armstrong said, if if the income is not there, then all your expenses should be frozen. I mean, in the normal times, obviously you gotta, find things to bolster your income, find another job if you lost one. So you can't just stop paying rent. But because of this extraordinary situation, what he's saying is that if due to the CV, the business has been shut by the government, then the bills should also be frozen. So those small businesses and, in my opinion, people and families shouldn't be paying those. But this is what they've done. This is the dog's breakfast that the government's actually made, where they've said, hey, you won't be able to evict people who have lost their job due to the CV for 6 months, yet that's really not part of the legislation or any other law. So it's, free to be interpreted by landlords.
1 in 3 Australians rents their home, helping to pay the loans and create income for millions of small landlords. In late March, the Morrison government declared a 6-month eviction ban for those who lose income as a result of the coronavirus shutdown. But with states and territories taking their time to make their own legislation, everything is up in the air.
Lovely, right? Everything up in the air. That's just what we need.
But states and territories are offering wildly different support packages. All states and territories have announced eviction bans, backdated to March 29. But if they're not yet law, they have no weight.
What a debacle, honestly. I didn't want to make this video all negative and get all the negative news and use this as a feed porn video, but honestly, I have not been following mainstream because I just can't stand it anymore. It's not good for my health, and about 15 minutes of watching it, I am not feeling well. So I'm going to end this video here. I'll see if I can find something better that I can share with you. But in the meantime, it's still good to keep the pulse on what they are telling us is the reality. All right, that's it for now. Take care and speak again soon.